Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Was Kidnapped and Fell in Love with Himiko Toga movie. Before we start, please go support BurningFingers for writing that awesome fanfic. Izuku Midoriya was kidnapped but was returned along with a girl, Himiko Toga. After a few ups and downs, Izuku and Toga start a journey that will leave a mark in the hero world forever. The start of a new life. Izuku Midoriya was walking down the sidewalk to the train station to get to his favorite school. While walking, Izuku couldn't help but feel like he was being watched. A little while after walking, however, Izuku heard a scream, and as he turned around to see what happened, whack, then everything turned to darkness. Izuku woke up in a very unfamiliar place. Surrounding him was his worst nightmares. On his left was Dabi, the patchwork fire user. On his right was Kurojiri, the misty bartender. What feared Izuku most was the man in front of him, Shigaraki, their leader. "Oh, Izuku Midoriya, you really should be used to being snuck up on." "Hey, well, enjoy that chair, you'll be here a while now," mocked Shigaraki. As the three men started to leave the room, Izuku noticed the girl behind them. "Hey, you alright?" she asked. This is Himiko Toga, Izuku realized, the same one who attacked him and his friends in the forest. "Yeah," Izuku replied. "Why does she care?" he thought. "Why don't I like him being hurt? I usually love blood," Toga asked herself. "Well, since we are going to be here a while, how about we just talk, not about anything that can be used against you if you aren't comfortable." So that's what they did. After some time, Izuku realized he had a friend here after all, and opened up to her little by little. After some time, Dabi came back into the room. "Toga, your shift is over." "Okay, bye Midoriya," she said as she left. "She really likes you, you know," says Dabi. "And by that blush I'd say you like her. Don't worry, we aren't like the others, me and her are her because we have nowhere else to go." "I never realized." That was all Izuku could manage to say. "Yeah, not many do." Toga was walking toward her room when she heard the villains talking about Izuku. "So what are we gonna do with him, asked one. "Torture, then kill him." That was Shigaraki's reply. Toga quickly rushed back to Dabi and Izuku. "Dabi, we have to get him out of here." "What? Why?" asked Dabi. "Dabi, please, they are going to kill him for me," pleaded Toga. "Okay, fine," replied Dabi, breaking Izuku's chains that binded him to the chair. "Go, I'll stall." "They will come with us?" asked Izuku. "No, I'm going down alright, but I'm going down in flames." With that, Izuku and Toga ran out of the building and into the streets outside the villain's new base. "We have to make it to my school, it's right over there." "Okay, let's go, but first." As Izuku turned around, Toga grabbed him and kissed him. "Sorry," she said as they split apart. "Wanted to do that for a while." But before she could even turn around, Izuku kissed her again. "Me too." As they were standing there, the building of the villains started to burn. "Time to go." Yep, with that the two began running to Yue. Once they got there though, Toga stopped. Izuku, aren't you forgetting something? Like the fact I'm a villain?" "1, not anymore. 2, you helped me escape, so there is something there. And 3, they all trust me, so I'll vouch for you," replied Izuku. "Young Midoriya," yelled All Might. "Back away from him, villain," shouted All Might. "Wait, All Might," shouted Izuku. All Might then stopped mid-punch. "Why, young Midoriya?" "Because she isn't a villain." "Yes, she is, she attacked us at camp," said Ochako as she came out with the rest of the school. "No, I mean she helped get me out of their base, at the cost of Dabi sacrificing himself for our escape," said Izuku sadly. "Well, while I already have a plan for young Toga, we need to get you two to the infirmary," said Nizu the principal. While the school helped carry Izuku, Toga only got stares, non-good. It was manageable until Mineta had to say something. "Midoriya, why is there lipstick smeared on your face?" asked poor Mineta. "Shut up," Midoriya exclaimed, hitting Mineta with a 1% smash to the back of his head. "Midoriya, explain," said All Might. Well, me and kinda kissed a few times," Toga said quietly. "What?" yelled everyone. "The fight to belong." After receiving the shocking news about Izuku and Toga, Class 1A was a little stunned to say the least. While most were willing to give Toga a chance, there was two individuals that were against that idea. Of course, the media had been sneaking around Udata campus, so what they had just said was broadcast everywhere. Things were about to get messy for poor Izuku and Toga. "Guys, please don't freak out, she really is fine, she's not bad. Todoroki, help out here," pleaded Izuku. "Most of us don't have a problem with her. There is one of us though," replied Todoroki. "She attacked us in the forest," exclaimed Ochako. "Yeah, ribbit, but Midoriya seems to trust her, ribbit." "I am okay with it," said Aussie. "I for one think she should be arrested," exclaimed Endeavor, coming into the medical room. "What are you doing here?" asked Izuku. "The news reporters outside have been videoing you since you came back." Oh no," Toga and Izuku said in unison. "Nevertheless, I am here to take her in." "No, I refuse," replied Izuku. "I have a proposition," started Nizu. "Young Toga will be in young Midoriya's care and become a student at UA. I will agree to this and drop all charges on Toga, if Izuku Midoriya can defeat me with the help of anyone from his class willing to help." "I'll help," said Lita, Todoroki, Bakugo, and Kirashima immediately in unison. In just a few short minutes, teachers, students, and pro heroes all sat around the sparring arena watching the fight. Toga stood between All Might and Aizawa for her safety. Lita was racing around Endeavor, delivering as many blows as possible while Bakugo bounced around blasting him. Todoroki was blasting him from afar with ice, and Izuku was dealing massive damage and keeping his attention. All was going well until Endeavor sent out a giant blast of fire, knocking out Lita and Bakugo. Todoroki was sent into the wall and couldn't move. The only one left was Izuku. "Did you really think you could beat me?" "No, it can't end here," Izuku thought. He thought about his friends, All Might, Toga. "No, it won't happen. I will win." Izuku looked at the cocky Endeavor, ready to end this. Everyone was awake now, but none of Izuku's companions could move, only watch. "No one fear, for I am here, and I won't lose," Izuku said. "You have heard these words before, but I will show you what they truly mean." Izuku started drawing his arm back. Plus, Izuku sees it his whole life, his mom, his friends, All Might giving him his powers, Toga, everything. The fire of one for all burns bright within him, ultra. Izuku sent a punch so powerful it blew back even the spectators. No one could see clearly, but when the smoke cleared, Izuku stood, and at his feet was a knocked-out Endeavor. Izuku Midoriya had beaten Endeavor. Toga was free. Meeting of disastrous proportions. After all was said and done, Izuku was brought back into the medical room. As everyone came into his room, though, Toga was the one at his side. On the bed next to Izuku, though. "I am a man of my word, Izuku Midoriya, your girlfriend is free," said Endeavor, shocking everyone. "Thank you, sir," said Izuku. "Don't thank me yet, boy." Just then Izuku's mother came into the room. "Where is my baby?" she screamed. What Toga saw, she swears to this day, was like the parting of the seas, but instead of the Jews coming through, it was a green devil. "This is all your fault. If you weren't here, he wouldn't be like this." "MOM, that is enough," Izuku shouted. Everyone sat dead quiet. At this point, all parents were watching. No one has ever saw Ms. Midoriya so aggressive towards someone, but Izuku yelling and yelling at her. That was unheard of. "Give me, Toga, my mom, Endeavor, and All Might some private time, please," asked Izuku. With that, everyone left for a bit. "Now let's talk." "Arrangements. Let us talk about this like calm, civil people," started Izuku. "I think that since Toga doesn't really have any friends yet, and there will be people out there to hurt her. All in favor say aye." "Aye," said Endeavor and All Might. "Nay," said Izuku's mom. "The ayes have it, she will be staying with me," said Izuku. "On one condition," started Endeavor. "All Might must also stay with you at the Midoriya household." "Okay," replied Toga, All Might, and Izuku. "But we don't have that many rooms," said Izuku's mom. "Have young Midoriya and Toga share," said All Might. He liked the young girl, he saw how scared she was while Izuku fought Endeavor. He could tell that he had earned her favor when she turned and smiled at him. "There, everything has been decided," said Izuku, Toga, All Might, and Endeavor. "Toga will also become a student here as well," said Niza, poking his head in, but as he did so the entire class that had been listening on the other side of the door fell into the room. "Well, now we don't have to explain, bye," was Izuku's reaction. With that all out of the way, the Midoriyas, All Might, and Toga went to their home. The car was silent on the way home. All felt too scared of Izuku's mom. She was thinking though, what does Izuku see in her? Why does All Might trust her so much, and why did Izuku choose her side over mine? The four arrived at their home. "Here it is, make yourself comfortable," All Might said Izuku's mom. All Might, even while not being in his buff state, carried a quarter of the luggage for him, Izuku, and the stuff the principal gave Toga. Izuku, against Toga's complaints, carried the rest. As the two carried the boxes, Ms. Midoriya stopped suddenly, causing her, All Might, and Izuku to topple over. Unfortunately for everyone, when the boxes for Toga fell open, and out came new underwear for Toga. After a few moments, Izuku was out cold with blood coming out of his nose. All Might started screaming Nezu. Ms. Midoriya along with Toga started to share a common goal, which was to help Izuku. One big happy family. Getting to know each other. Before the four knew it, the first 2 days of their time together had passed, and it was now Sunday, the day before Toga's first day at UA. Izuku, being the person he is, thought that everyone should get to know each other more. "Okay, Izu, how are we going to do this?" asked Toga, who was sitting at the kitchen table along with the others. "Well, each of us will say things that most people don't know about us. I'll start," began Izuku. "But first I would like to ask for All Might's permission. I know what you speak of, and if you would be so kind to also count it as my turn too." "Okay, I was Quirkless until All Might passed one for all down to me. Before you start, yes, All Might got it the same way I did." No one knew what else to say, so Toga began her turn. "Now nobody freak out about this, but my favorite drink is blood." "Nanny?" screamed Ms. Midoriya. "I don't steal blood or anything though, and I am not addicted. My quirk makes blood taste divine, so it is really had when I have a craving, but it is manageable." "Okay, one else has shared, so I will too," began Ms. Midoriya. "Izuku's father was killed by a man named only by his villain name, All for One." Izuku and All Might froze. "I knew Izuku's and your power were the same, and I know for a fact that my little boy will fight someone like him someday." After a brief moment of everybody calming down, Izuku said, "Nothing leaves this house, okay?" Everyone in that room agreed instantly. "Now that we're done with that, you two should make sure that you're ready for tomorrow," said All Might. "Trust me, we are." Izuku spent all day with me going over rules, catching me up on what they have already learned, and preparing me," said Toga. "Good job, young Midoriya." "It was nothing, well, we're going to relax a bit," replied Izuku. With that, the two teens went and sat on the couch, while Izuku did while Toga laid on him. As they were watching, the Izuku did something bold. He bent down and kissed Toga on the lips. Shocked at first, Toga started to kiss back. "I love you," Toga said. "And I love you," Izuku replied. A few hours later, All Might went into the living room to see Izuku sleeping sitting up and Toga laying on his chest, also asleep, with both curled up into a blanket. "Good night, kiddos." "Making friends. So ready to go, Himiko?" asked Izuku. "Yep," replied Himiko Toga. Today was their first day at Udata together, and because of all the things she did as a villain, she had a lot of making up to do. Toga and Izuku walked through the school together to Class 1A. Niza thought it would be a good idea to put the two in the same classes for conveniency and safety. Toga could already hear the whispers and see the looks of disgust on the faces of the people passing by. After what seemed like an eternity, they reached Class 1A. Toga immediately sat beside Izuku. After a few minutes of listening, people murmured. Toga sees Ochako and Azui. "Hello, you two," Toga said, approaching them. Azui looked at her with fear, but Ochako looked at her with pure rage. "I would like to apologize for what I did at the training camp. You have the right to hate me. I don't expect you to like me, but would you please give me a chance?" Toga puts up her hand, hoping one of them would forgive her. Azui grabs her hand and shakes it. "I'm Azui and I'll give you a chance," replied Ajuri. This brought a smile not only to Toga, or Izuku who was watching, but Mr. Aizawa who was watching through the ceiling, letting the kids get to know their new classmate. Toga went around making friends with almost everyone, then she got to Lida. I will give you a chance, but know that it is hard because you used to admire Stain, who seriously harmed my brother, said Lida, though it wasn't Lida who brought the conflict. It was none other than Bakugo. What are smiling at, Deku? Exclaimed Bakugo. It is good to see Toga getting along with everyone, replied Izuku as Bakugo started to try and intimidate him. What happened next almost made Aizawa laugh so hard it almost blew his cover. In a split second, Bakugo was frozen to the ceiling by Todoroki and Ochako, a cut on his cheek from Toga, and he had received a kick to the groin from Lida. Hello, I'm Todoroki, he said as he shook her hand. Toga. Well, I do believe you have made some friends, Todoroki said as Lida and Ochako nodded their heads. When Todoroki stopped shaking her hand, though inside her hand was a badge. IPS? She asked. Welcome to the Izuku Protection Squad, they said together. Mommy? Today, class, we will have a special guest with us, pronounced All Might as the class entered their last class. Eri will be joining us, and young Midoriya, the teachers, would like to talk to you later. Mr. Deku, exclaimed Eri. Hi, Eri, said Izuku to the young girl. She was wearing a white shirt with purple shorts and purple little Crocs. Eri was always at ease when Izuku was around, and Izuku didn't mind being around her either. After the brief encounter, class began as usual with Eri at the sidelines. As Eri watched, she saw a new person. Grandpa Toshi, who is that? Asked Eri. At first ecstatic that she called him Grandpa Toshi, he looks for the person she is asking about. That is Himiko Toga, ex-villain, and Izuku's girlfriend. After that, Eri began watching her more seriously. After the class had finished, Izuku was brought to the teachers, but before he left, he asked Toga, "Can you stay with Eri for a bit, please?" Not being able to deny the request because of how sad the girl looked because Izuku was leaving, she responded with, "Sure." So Toga went over to the young girl and they talked. Unfortunately, some teachers and 1B students looked displeased by these actions. "Izuku," said Nizu. "Yes? I know this is a lot for you to handle, but we want you to take care of Eri as, well, her father. No matter what you choose, do not worry, I will take care of your mother," said All Might. Izuku sat and pondered for a good 5 minutes before answering. "I will only if she wants to, and also why me?" "I sure she will, and question 2 is because you inspire her, you are already the closest thing she has to a father," replied Nizu. The three walked back to Eri and Toga, who were laughing together. "Hey Eri," started Izuku. "Yes? How would you like it if I became your dad?" Her response was in no way a rejection as she ran up and hugged, yelling, "Daddy!" But this heartwarming scene became comedic when Eri let go, cocked her head, and then hugged Toga while saying, "Mommy." Toga first turned red, then passed out. "Himiko!" yelled Izuku as he and Eri caught Toga. She was muttering something like, "I'm a parent now." "Maybe we should have asked Toga." "Well?" asked Nizu to the group. "This is starting to get a bit cramped." Izuku had just gotten up on a Saturday and was helping his mom fix breakfast when he heard a knock on the door. "I'll get it," he said, but as he opened it he saw Mr. Aizawa? "Hello, Midoriya. What are you doing here?" "I came to ask a favor of you." "Okay." "Malade has asked me to look over Kuda for a while, and I was hoping you all would watch him when I go out." "Sure thing, sir." "Good, I heard you had bonded with Kuda, so this is the first place I went to." "Yuvu, hurry up!" shouted a lady from a car. "Is that Mrs. Joke?" asked Izuku. "Yes, Asiya." With that, Aizawa was gone. "Daddy, who was that?" asked Eri, who came to check on Izuku along with Toga. "Oh, Kuda, how are you doing?" "Alright, Eri, how about you?" "Fine," she replied with a big blush. "Hey Eri, why don't you show Kuda your room?" suggested Toga. That is when Kuda recognized her and hid behind Izuku. "Don't worry, she won't hurt you," said Izuku. "But she's a villain." "Not anymore," she pitched in. With that, Kuda and Eri went to Eri's room. "So how did I know Eri had a crush on Kuda? Girl talk. Izuku would ask many things, but never did he ever want to ask about girl talk, so he left it at that. So young Midoriya, we got another? Asked All Might walking into the room. Yeah, but he is only here while Aizawa isn't there to watch him. That's nice, sweetie, but it is starting to get cramped here, said Mrs. Midoriya. Speaking of which, where will Kuda sleep? Ah, good question. A date? Hey Himiko, have we ever been on an actual date? Asked Izuku one morning while him and Toga was sitting on the couch. No, mostly of the time we are studying or watching Koda or just chilling out here, Toga Himiko replied. How about we change that? Ma, Izuku Midoriya, are you asking me out on a date? Why yes, I am Ms. Himiko Toga. We will have to make plans for Eri. Already done. What time were you thinking? 6 o'clock tonight. Well, it's 4 now, so I'd better be getting ready, she replied. Then as she walked by, put a quick kiss on his cheek. Eri, stay here with Grandpa Toshi and Grandma Inko, okay? Asked Toga outside the house in the doorway. Okay. Will Kuda be coming over? Asked Eri. Knowing Uncle Aizawa, yes, he will more than likely be coming over. Okay, bye Mama, bye Papa, Eri said as she shut the door. Okay Izuku, let's go. With that they continued into the night on their date. They had been walking through town for about 5 minutes before Izuku stopped, turned red, and began muttering to himself. Izuku, what's wrong? What did Eri just call us again? That was all it took for Himiko to realize it herself and join her boyfriend. Is it a bad thing? Asked Himiko. No, just surprising. I'm glad we are known as her parents. Even me? Yes, even you. Stop thinking like that. Come on, let's go on that date, I promise you. Okay, let's go. With that they continued on. Her parents. Toga and Izuku had just found a restaurant called Hot Dinner, which seemed to be a fancy restaurant. Izuku ordered a table for him and Toga when Toga sees the last people she wanted to see. Izuku saw her worried look though. What's wrong, do you not like it? He asked as they sat down. It's not this, it's them, she replied as she nodded to the couple directly behind them. Izuku turns around just slightly to see a fairly wealthy couple sitting there. He turned back to her with a raised eyebrow as to say explain. Instead of telling, she typed on his phone. They are my parents. Now Izuku understood. Due to her parents she became a villain, and due to what she told the police, they no longer had custody of her. Let's forget about them and eat, okay? Okay, Aizu. With that they ordered their food and after 20 minutes. They ate, talked, laughed, and everything was going great until... Hello dear sir. Came a voice, and as Izuku and Himiko looked up they knew who it was, the man that was behind him, Mr. Toga. That is my daughter, she ran away quite some time ago. I am terribly sorry for any trouble she caused you. We will take her and be on our way. Come now, Himiko. I don't think so, said Izuku. What? Due to recent events, Himiko is no longer in your custody on official records and she is my girlfriend, so please leave us alone. Now everyone in the restaurant was staring. Well, I bet you don't know that. She used to be in the League of Villains, as a matter of fact I did. Me, him, and 2 other friends of ours fought my father for her, said Todoroki, who had been here with his mother and father. As much shame as it is it's true, said Endeavor. Ashamed and flustered, Himiko's parents left without another word. Thank you, Todoroki, Endeavor, Izuku and Himiko said together. The two just nodded and walked away. That was interesting. Hey Izuku, can we go home? Asked Himiko, holding on to him and silently crying into his shoulder. Sure, let me just. We'll pay for you, boy, just go, said Endeavor's booming voice. Thank you. With that the duo starts their way home. Calm before the storm. Izuku and Toga walked home that night and went to bed without a word. The next morning was eventful. Morning, Mom, All Might, Eri, Toga, and Kuda, said Izuku coming downstairs for breakfast. While it took Izuku a second, he did notice 4 other visitors. Todoroki, Endeavor, Principal Nizu, and Todoroki's mom, I believe. Why are you guys here? With a worried look on their faces as they look at each other, Niza slowly says, "We were contacted by Himiko's birth parents demanding to know why Himiko was taken out of their custody. The police told them about the burns on Himiko had traces of their DNA and many stories from Himiko herself about them. They then said that was preposterous, but the police said otherwise and that it has already been ruled so it cannot be changed without Mrs. Himiko's consent." "Okay, then what's the problem?" "They want to come here and have lunch with us and talk," replied All Might. Izuku's reply was silent. He didn't like it, but he agreed that this needed to happen. "Okay, I get this, but why is Todoroki and his parents here?" "We did pay for your meal last night, so we stopped by for breakfast. Plus, I might need to be here to confirm a few things," said Endeavor. "He has been acting different since he saw Mom Aegean," said Todoroki. "I see," replied Izuku. Young Midoriya, could I speak with you a moment?" asked All Might. "Sure thing," said Izuku, eager as always to talk to his idol. Him and All Might walked out of the kitchen and into the living room. "So All Might, what did you want to talk about?" "I wanted to ask you two things, my boy. First, I would like it if you were to call me Toshi or Tashinori." "Okay, Toshi, what is the other thing?" "I wanted to ask permission to date your mother." Izuku just stared at him blankly. "Fine with me." "Nanny?" asked Toshi. "Yeah, I already see you as a father figure, so I'm fine with it." "Thank you, Izuku," Toshi replied while giving the young boy a hug. Ding dong! Rang the doorbell. Everyone knew who it was and they all felt it. A great darkness was behind those doors. Everyone knew except poor Kuda and Eri, who answered the door. "Hello, children," said Mrs. Toga, scaring Eri, causing her to hide behind Kuda. "Who are you?" asked Kuda, giving his signature cold expression, trying to be brave for Eri. "They're Himiko's parents, let them in, Kuda," said Izuku, walking toward them. "Mr. Midoriya, how nice it is to see you again." "Wish I could say the same," said Izuku with such coldness that no one, not even Aizawa, could match. Izuku was beyond mad and everyone there knew it except the Togas, but they would know soon enough. "There, talk." The Togas and the rest go into the living room, Eri sitting in Himiko's lap and Kuda between Tashinori and Himiko with Izuku at her other side. The Togas were seated on the other side. "So you wanted to talk?" began Izuku. "Well, we have been missing years of our daughter's life," stared Mrs. Toga. "We should at least see what she has become," chimed Mr. Toga. "Okay, well, start with questions and we will answer as best we can," said Nizu. "Well, first off, how is her villainy going?" asked Mrs. Toga. "Due to a lot of considering, enrolling in our school among other conditions allows her to be here. She also betrayed the League of Villains to bring Izuku back to us," replied Niza after some silence. Toshi, Toga, and Todoroki were silently watching Izuku. Unknown to him, he had accidentally activated one for all out of rage. "Also, how is this petty life?" began Mr. Toga. "These imbeciles, the bad food, no pampering, not a maid or butler in sight." "We don't need those things," replied Toshi. "Bet you don't, P-cent." "Leave now," said a now very angry Himiko. "Not without you, dear daughter. If you do not leave, everyone here is able to pulverize you and then arrest you under the crimes of harassment, trespassing, threatening, and much more," began Nizu. "Try it, little guy." "Izuku, they are all yours," finished Nizu. With those, Nizu might as well open the gates of hell upon the two. Both tried attacking Izuku at the same time. Mr. Toga with a left hook misses on the right. Izuku easily dodges and lands one blow into the gut of Mr. Toga, who, the coughed-up blood dropped to his knees, hit the floor, and passed out. Izuku tried, but he just couldn't hit Mrs. Toga, and as she pulled a knife out of her purse, KONNNGGGG, Mrs. Toga was knocked out with Himiko standing over her with a plate from Elir. "So much for talking. Endeavor, take these two to the police station," said Nizu. "Humph," was his reply, picking the two unconscious people up. "Well, bye," was all Nizu said before escaping. "Well, that happened," said Izuku. "Who's hungry?" War. A few weeks had passed since Himiko's parents had stopped by. Through some kind of bribery, they had managed to get out of jail with a warning. No one was exactly thrilled about this. But it was what they did next that sealed their fate. It was a dark and cloudy morning already, and Izuku was sitting downstairs eating breakfast with everyone when he noticed Himiko was missing. He assumed she was still asleep and went to wake her. He got to her room and found nothing but blood spots everywhere. He rushed downstairs yelling about what he had found, causing everyone to rush to the scene. It was Tashinori. It occurs to me some of you don't know that is All Might's real name. Who found the note? Do not look for her, she is ours. It was her parents who took her, said Izuku. It would seem so, began Toshi. This is my fault. I was supposed to protect all of us. No, this is only on the Togas, said Inko, speaking up. They ended up calling Nizu, as well as everyone else. It was then decided that the police, All Might, Endeavor, and the UA students would all charge the house. What about us? Asked Kuda and Eri. You two should stay here, said Izuku. But... No buts, I don't want you two to ever be in danger any more than you have to be. Fine. Mom, can you stay here with them? Yes, dear. Okay, time to go, I guess. Wait, Izuku. Yes, Kuda? I know Eri has called you Dad and Himiko Mom, but I never have, and I just want to say that I do care. Oh, Kuda, began Izuku. I know. I see you as my hero. So please, Izuku, save her mom, save Himiko, and come back, yelled Kuda with tears in his eyes. You can count on it, said Izuku, holding back tears of his own. Everyone then met up at the Toga's mansion. Kirishima, Todoroki and his family, Momo, even Bakugo. All right, everyone, this is it, began Niza, already seeing men flood out of the mansion ready to fight. Please stay safe. Himiko's view. Himiko woke up in an all-too-familiar room. Her old room. Keep her in here, barked someone from outside her room. She cracked open the door to see, but a man came into the room, grabbing and then throwing her onto her bed on the other side of the room. My dear, dear daughter. You should have just come back, said Mr. Toga. Like I would come back from the good life to hell. Head, beat her, he commanded the man as he left. The man kept trying to hit her, but thanks to her hero training he was having some trouble. He did finally hit her, hard, and right into the glass mirror in her room. As the shards fell around her, she had an idea. The man went up to her to hit her again, but right before he does, Himiko takes on of glass shards, dodges the attack, and stabs him in the back center of his neck, killing him and ceasing his movements. Great, now he's taken care of. Now how to get out of here? Himiko thought. She looked upon the man again and had another idea. A few seconds later, Himiko walked out of the room looking like the man, but just after walking out she felt the entire house shake. Hey you, go help in the command center, someone shouted at her. When she arrived, she saw everyone on the monitors. Ochako and Lita fighting side by side, Kirishima taking quirks and bullets alike to shield other, Kaminari unleashing a giant area attack, pro heroes fighting their way to the mansion, Tashinori helping shoot with the police. What amazed Himiko most was the three whom had already entered the building, Izuku, Todoroki, and Bakugo, the three of the strongest but tend to never work together. Now though they are blowing people away left and right. Until only her mother and father were left. My power is vampire, the more blood I drink the stronger I become, said Mr. Toga. Mine is look-alike. I can look like anyone I can see, said Mrs. Himiko. Unfortunately for you, I've already consumed as much blood as I can, says Mr. Toga, trying to punch them, destroying the ground as they dodged. Each of them attacked and attacked, but they hardly managed to hurt him. It didn't help that Mrs. Toga kept trying to attack them as each other. Midoriya, look out! Yelled Todoroki as a fake Todoroki tried to stab Izuku. As the knife came down, blood splat, and the fake Todoroki fell to the ground, turning into Mrs. Toga. A man stood over her, but slowly a mud-like substance fell of him, revealing Himiko. Himiko, yelled Izuku, grabbing on and hugging her for dear life. I'm fine, she assured. Go outside to the police, we'll handle this. You better, she said as she left. The three boys shared a knowing look. It was time to end this with their final attacks. Flaming Eyes. Destroyers Final. True one for all 1,000,000%. The look of dread on Mr. Toga's face told that he knew he would get back up after this. Disintegration. Explosion. Universal Smash. Todoroki and Bakugo shot him with their strongest attacks after moving to point-blank position, and Izuku kicked with a kick so strong that most the mansion traveled behind it. Mr. Toga never had a chance against that. Neither did the mansion. A few hours later, Tashinori came into the house with Izuku and Toga. Both Tashinori and Himiko were helping Izuku walk. "Mom, Dad!" yelled Eri. "Hey, you too," said Izuku. "They are probably really tired, so let's lay them rest for now, alright," said Inko/. "Thanks, Mom," said Izuku, kissing Himiko's cheek. Then gave a look to Eri and Kuda. "Surprised you two didn't think that was gross." Eri turned a little red and Kuda gave a quick glance at Eri. Izuku didn't seem to notice, but Himiko and Inko did. "That just means that they are maturing," said Himiko, winking at them and leading Izuku to bed, because after all, some would call this a long day. Halloween. Ding dong, went the doorbell in front of the Midoriya household. "Trick or treat," shouted kids in costumes. One was dressed as All Might, one as Midnight, and one as Genji. My brother dressed as it. Please don't sue or hate me. "Well, isn't it some kids?" said Toga, coming out dressed as a vampire. "Would you like some candy?" "Well, in exchange I'm just going to ask for some blood," shouted Toga, showing her very real fangs. "H," screamed the kids as they ran away. As the kids ran away, Toru and Ojiro came through their yard. Izuku then dressed as a mummy. "Hey you guys!" shouted Toru, dressed as a ghost. "Hey Toru!" "Hey Ojiro!" said Toga. Ojiro just waved his hand. He wasn't dressed as anything. "So taking it easy after that whole fiasco?" "Yeah, and Halloween was here, so we just stayed home." "Yeah, my costume really suits me in that way," the boys heard from Toru while she was talking to Now. Due to the confused look on their faces, Toru throws off her sheet, where there was nothing. "Ugh," said the boys. Then it connected in their brains. In order for her to be completely invisible, she has to be. Toru put some clothes on. A late Thanksgiving. The Midoriya household was setting up for Thanksgiving. Mrs. Midoriya was cooking food, Tashinori was setting up and cleaning the kitchen, Izuku was out gathering Class 1A and the Hussycats, and Himiko was decorating the rest of the house with Eri. "I never done this before, so, Mom, what is Thanksgiving?" asked Eri. "I never celebrated it either, but it is an American holiday where we celebrate harvest and what we are thankful for. Tashinori thought it might be fun," replied Toga. After a few hours, Izuku returned from handing out the invitations. He was happy seeing all the decorations all around him. Then he saw a cardboard cut out of a tree with cut-out hands for leaves near the stairs. "Do you like it, Daddy?" asked Eri, seeing her papa at the tree. "Like it, I love it," said Izuku, picking up Eri. "Good, we worked hard on it," said Himiko, stepping into the room. "Oh really? Well, let's see what is written on these hands," said Izuku. "No, wait till everyone is here," said Eri. "Eri wants to show everyone the tree together," said Himiko. "Okay, I'll wait." After a bit, everyone started coming in and enjoying themselves. Eri was protecting her tree till Kuda came. After he got there, she was like, "What tree?" After everyone got their food and said grace, Eri went to show off her tree. "Hello everyone, this is our thanks tree," began Eri. "I am thankful for Mommy, Daddy, Grandpa, Grandma, Kuda, and all of you." After she finished, Himiko stepped up. "I helped Eri, and built some thanks hands as well. I am thankful for forgiveness and everyone here. There is one person I also must be thankful for, even though he is no longer here, and that is Dabi, who allowed all this to happen by sacrificing himself." Everyone bowed their heads in respect to the man. "While you're here, please make your own thanks hands," said Eri. Everyone enjoyed themselves, and when they left, the thanks tree had so many hands they overlapped. Then there was the family all asleep on the couch. What a Thanksgiving. Christmas, it's late, I know. Merry Christmas, said Class 1A. Christmas parties were always fun, but now Eri and Kuda were here. The hussy cats were having fun, Todoroki was having fun, Bakugo was level-headed, even Aizawa and Ms. Joke were having a good time. Then the carols came. Due to not having ever done Christmas, Eri had no idea what to do. Izuku helped her though. Toga got Izuku under the mistletoe, so needless to say she was happy. It was a very Christmas. God bless us everyone, finished Kuda. Bullying. Everything was at peace in the Midoriya household. Izuku is basically in charge, so that's why it's his household. Toshinori, Izuku, and Himiko had just gotten home from school. Inko was cooking supper. Everything was fine. That was until they heard a knock from the door. Izuku opened the door to see a worried Aizawa and Malady Cat Trio, Kuda's aunt, a sad Mrs. Joke, and an angry, crying Kuda with an also crying Eri. May we come in? Something happened at school, said Aizawa. Yes, of course, said Izuku, worried beyond belief. As everyone sat down, Aizawa began to explain the situation. While at school, Eri overheard some kids talking bad about Himiko, so Eri tried to stand up for her. Then these kids started to make fun of Eri, saying how she caused Mirio to lose his quirk and she was nothing but a problem. This was seen by Kuda and his friends, so Kuda went to help Eri and calm her down before she lost control of her quirk. Then they started to say bad things about Kuda too, but he ignored them until they made what seemed to be a very painful mistake. They said, and I quote, "It's the two losers who were brought up by the fake hero Izuku Midoriya Deku. Guess he really was useless if he saved you too." End quote. Eri and Kuda then yelled at the kids, whom then tried to assault Eri and Kuda, but they learned very quickly that that was their second mistake, to say the least. Though all this, only two people were not outraged visibly, and that was Izuku and Himiko. As the other were about to yell, Izuku interrupted them. "We will handle it. But we will handle it, okay?" No one said a word as the two left the house. The next day, Eri and Kuda came home with handwritten apologies and candy. "How did you guys get these?" asked Inko. "The principal gave us candy while the kids were sent somewhere, and gave us these at the end of the day," they said. Just then Izuku walked by. "I said we would handle it. Freedom of Religion, please give me ideas for next time." The Midoriya family went out after school one day to celebrate Eri's good grades. While eating, Eri began to say blessing. "God, please bless this food," said Eri. "Stupid girl believing in a god," said some woman. "Excuse me, miss?" asked Toga with wide smile. "I know for a fact that we are allowed to practice any religion we would like. It is very rude to disrespect our practices even if you do not have the same view. Like a brat like you would matter enough to say that to me." Toshinori decided to end this quickly. So he walked behind the woman and transformed. "Hello, MS. All Might, I'm such a fan," said the woman as she noticed his angered face. "Apparently not. If you commit such villainy, please apologize." "I'm sorry." As the woman left, the family thanked Toshinori. Later that night, Himiko heard some sniffling coming from Eri's room. "Eri, what's wrong?" "It's that lady from the restaurant." "Oh, sweetie, you know I had this problem too." "How did you get past it?" "I just got used to how people are." "Oh. Well, let's just sing a song for now." "La la la la." So they sang till Eri went to sleep. Then a little bit later, so did Himiko. A new foe appears. "Going to be short." "Bye, sweetie," said Himiko to Eri as she went to Aizawa's car. "Bye," yelled Eri. "Have fun," said Izuku. Kuda opened the door for Eri and turned to look at them as she got in. What he saw was a smiling Himiko playing with a knife and a nervous Izuku, both staring intently. Behind them was most kids from Class A for a party, and their parents. The car drives off as a person in the shadows watches. Soon, very soon, a new threat appears. Heroes assemble. Izuku was home watching TV when the news interrupted with an emergency announcement. "Warning, Eraserhead is down. I repeat, Eraserhead has been found." Already distraught, he remembers the kids were with him. He turns up the volume. Hey reporter, shouted Aizawa from inside the ambulance. Make sure Izuku Midoriya hears this. It was after the kids it took them, and joke it's going after the others. Keep them safe. In mere moments the household went into a frenzy. Minutes later Class 1A appeared, what's left of them. Toru, Yaoyorozu, Ochako, and Mineta were missing. The rest were beaten and bruised. Where began Izuku? They took most our parents. The ones not here fought them, but in the end they were taken too. We tried to save them, but we failed, said Kaminari sadly. Behind them stood a few heroes, also beaten and worse for wear. They helped us, explained Todoroki. We lost a few and well, they weren't taken. He left it at that. Is this all there is? Asked Izuku. Their faces gave him all he needed to know. What now? Asked All Might behind him. What now? Thought Izuku. He had no idea. But he knew where to start. Few hours later Aizawa woke up to see the small group of heroes. Mr. Aizawa, started Izuku. Izuku, it was a beast like no other, worse than Nomu. It was like a giant wolf that had so many quirks, including mine, said Aizawa. Hey, just focus on getting better, we need you, said Izuku, calming him down. Izuku walked out, group following. Walking out he saw Class B and a few of the other students and teachers. Everyone, this threat is the worst we've faced. So now I ask you all to stand together and help us fight. Come with me and be the heroes of today. Who is with me? YAH, shouted everyone. Now heroes assemble. This means war. So where are we going to find these people? Asked Himiko. Good question. Does anyone have any clues? Asked Izuku. Me and my team tracked them to an old building, said a dog-like hero. Lead the way, commanded Izuku. The hero led the large group to an old building all too familiar to Izuku and Himiko. The place where it all started. The League of Villains headquarters. Heroes, inside there is no telling what awaits you. It will be dangerous and none shall fault you for turning back, said Izuku. Then before they could enter they heard them. People cackling around them. Then the door to the place opened, and out stepped Shigaraki with Eri and Kuda in tow. Oh yes, very dangerous. Why don't you come see just how much? Said Shigaraki. Himiko had something take over her, and she threw her knives. The man of faces simply dodged left and right. What was that, Some motherly rage? I mean, I know these kids see you as their mother, but you actually believe that? A monster like you, that is just precious. He didn't notice Izuku till it hit him in the face. Literally. Izuku had sent a flying kick right to his face and snatched the kids from the hands man. The light comes, your deed will be undone. Feel my power now, me and it are one. It is my time, let the strength climb, let my power shine, I won't let anyone die, said Izuku. Shigaraki tried to grab him, but the boy was simply too fast. Izuku just kept beating him to a pulp. Hee. My time now, came an ominous voice, and then all Izuku saw was black. And in that instance Himiko saw red. And they called her Vampire Queen. There stood a dog-like monster, similar to a werewolf. It was big, very big. Oh, I'm sorry, was this your boyfriend? Asked the wolf man. You started Himiko before she notices the kids. Grrrr, let him go. She dashed in blades swinging. The monster was too quick and mimicked Izuku's quirk and hit Himiko with a 100% smash to her ribs, sending her flying. However, he began to howl in pain. All for one had broken his right arm from the punch. That's right, Mr. Aizawa said he could copy quirks, but he never said anything about controlling them, thought Himiko. She jumped at the wolf man once more, but the beast was smart and hit her with 5% using its left arm. You see, I am also equipped with a high intelligence to learn my quirk, said the werewolf. Then how about a quirk you can't copy, because you won't have the chance? She rushed him once more. The wolf man threw a punch that Himiko took to the chest but held on to. She moved to his neck and bit down hard. She drank and drank, until he hit the ground and did not move. Himiko looked back at the hero's blood on her face. Kirashima stepped forward and yelled. Charge! The base was ripe for the taking. Attack of the references. The heroes rushed in after Shigaraki, right into the base. Inside they were met with various villains. Some even looked ready to eat the poor young heroes. The last of the heroes tried to fight back the villains, but were too greatly outnumbered. The villains seemed to about to defeat our heroes when they heard voices from behind. Kane, began the voice. Yes, Izuku cheered. The reinforcements have arrived. Heroes from all over the world had come to help. The tide began to turn. Shigaraki ran even deeper into the hideout. Izuku was hesitant to go after him until. Izuku, go after him, yelled Himiko. If we lose him, this will never end. With Nod, the next symbol of peace ran after the villainous leader. Izuku met a man claiming to use magic, then a boy about his age jumped in front of him and claimed he would handle it, pulling out a giant black sword from a book. A man wearing an orange gi appeared and said to grab his hand. Izuku did so, and in an instant they stood in front of Shigaraki. All yours, kid, said the man before he disappeared. Shigaraki looked on in fright at Izuku. You're going to pay, Shigaraki. For everything. The kid's safety. Izuku rushed the villain, throwing kicks rapidly. Shigaraki tried to hit Izuku using his quirk, neither landing a solid hit. The rest of the original heroes and the reinforcement heroes were fighting other nomas and villains. The heroes were winning. Then Himiko saw the battle between Izuku and Shigaraki. She looked for Koda and Eric, hoping that the man in the orange gi had taken them to the hospital like she asked. Said man place a hand on her shoulder. This surprised and scares the young girl. Hey, I left the two little ones with that Aizawa guy like you asked, said the man. Thank you, responded Himiko. She then went to help her boyfriend. What are you? Asked a nearby villain to the strange man. I'm a scion from Earth. And I cannot let you get away with the problems you've caused to innocent people. You're going to pay. Now I am mad, how dare you endanger children? I am going to make you suffer. Euphilisilis. The final battle. Dust. Everywhere. That's all that's left. It's finally over. The final attack dealt not by Izuku but by Himiko. With the kids safe and most villains defeated, Himiko went to help her boyfriend. The battle had taken the two leaders a good distance from the rest. Shigaraki looked broken. Izuku looked tired. Either Izuku would run out of stamina or Shigaraki will fall over. Izuku stomped the ground, causing dust to rise, blocking Shigaraki's vision, whom of which swiped the air only to see Izuku coming from the air. Shigaraki dodges and lunges for Izuku. Having used more stamina thanks to using his legs, Izuku tripped backward, allowing Shigaraki to grab his shirt. Ha ha ha, oh, it's been fun, Midoriya. But this is where it ends. To think you almost stopped me, and while your little incursion may have set me back, sure. But I'll be back, and then without you or All Might there is no one able to stop me. Goodbye, hero. See you later, psycho. Came a yell, and immediately after Himiko bit into his neck, draining more and more blood from him. Himiko, why? You were one of us once upon a time. Hey, I guess you can't trust anyone, huh? With that he fell over unconscious. Himiko sits down and Izuku sits up, both panting. You good? Asked Izuku. Yeah, you? Replied Himiko. Yeah, responded Izuku, nodding. Next time let's doing something together that normal couples do. Yeah, okay. That sounds nice. A good date where nothing goes wrong for once. Himiko was worried. She wasn't used to wearing a dress. She always wore a shirt with shorts or pants. Then there is the shoes. Oh my great lord Kami, how the heck do those girls on TV wear these things? These heels are so much more uncomfortable than her tennis shoes. Izuku was doing a bit better. He was used to wearing a suit. He preferred his regular shoes or boots, however he had adjusted to the dress shoes. The two met in the living room. Izuku wore a black suit with a dark green tie. Himiko wore a dark red dress with white high-heel shoes and diamond earrings. You clean up quite well, Izuku-kun, teased Himiko. I am YUTT2 stumbled Izuku. Shall WEG go? asked the boy as he opened the door. With a giggle, Himiko walked out the door, Izuku behind her. Young Midoriya.exe has stopped working, commented Toshi, that was sitting in the living room chair that was facing away from the couple as he drank his coffee. Kirishima somehow knew of a nice restaurant around UA. The two arrived at a short line and soon got a table. Let's hope this goes better than last time, said Himiko. As long as there is no more crazed family members around, I think we should be fine, joked Izuku. Hello, I am your two's manly waiter today, said a red-haired waiter. Riot, is that you? Asked Himiko. Yep, how else would I know about this? Replied Kirishima. I don't know, maybe you took Mina here, replied Izuku. Kirishima blushed and asked them for their order. The two talked and ate. They talked about their future and what they'd been through. Once they finished up, they went home and was about to go to bed. Hey Izuku? Started Himiko. Himiko gave him a quick kiss. Thanks for tonight, I had fun. Good night. Izuku was a blushing, jittery mess as she left. He only snapped out of it after hearing a whip sound behind him. He turned around to see All Might in the recliner facing away with a phone in his hand. Good night, young Midoriya. Good night. Eri and Kuda's Adventures, Bullies Part 1. Eri and Kuda were walking to school one day when a group of kids bumped into them. Hey, watch it, you red-eyed freak, shouted one of the kids. Hey, cut it out, it's not like we meant to, argued Kota. Hey, I know you. You're the villain overhauls kid, aren't ya? Asked one of the kids, teasing them. Eri looked at the ground, then she stood up and looked up at the taller bully. Overhaul might have been my birth father, but I'm not his kid. My dad is Izuku Midoriya, she said, trying to stand up for herself. Oh wow, what a big shot. I heard he ain't nothing, just takes credit for other heroes' work, argued the kid. Kuda was really mad now. It was happening again. Why does everyone want to pick on Eri and Izuku? Hey man, we got to go. The last kids who picked on them ended up suspended after writing an apology, said one of the cronies. Fine, later, losers. Like that, the kids were off. The day passed and Eri seemed lost. Kuda decided to confront her. Eri, what's wrong? Asked Kuda. We need to stand up to those kids, said Eri. Okay, but here's a question, how? We don't exactly fight often, asked Kuda. I got an idea, said Eri with new confidence. They went to the one man they could trust and not tell their guardians. Eri and Kuda's Adventures, Bullies Part 2. Who's there? Yelled our blonde Pomeranian, opening his door. Mr. Bakugo? We need you help, asked a query. Oh, with what, Squirt? Sked the blonde boy. We want to deal with bullies ourselves, but we don't know how, said Eri, gesturing to her and Kuda. Why not let Deku or your teachers or another of Class 1A handle it? Asked the explosive Pomeranian. The kids make fun of people who do that, not just us. We need to handle it themselves, responded Kuda. Bakugo say and pondered this for a bit. Being a bully in the past, we did remember doing the same. Then he got an idea that wouldn't get him or the kids in trouble. Okay, so here's what we do. The next day, the bullies once again approached the two kiddos. Well, look, the two crybabies are back. Going to run to you, Dad, or the teachers again? Asked their leader. Kuda looked at the bullies with a dark glare. He raised up his hand and used his water quirk to pop the water in his hands quickly, imitating Bakugo's quirk. Ever wondered what it feels like to be a bubble? He asked darkly. Eri took out a doll and began to use a very small amount of her power, careful not to lose control, and rewound it until it was gone. She looked back to the bullies with a wicked smile. Now the bullies were afraid and slowly backed away and then ran. The two kids dropped the facade and celebrated. Uncle Bakugo's plan worked, said Eri. Yeah, that line plus the scary way he taught us to use our quirks actually worked, said Kuda, more impressed than anything. The two continued their day, and now could handle the bullies themselves. Step 1 in their adventures. Many more they shall have in the future, stay tuned. Old friends, twice the burns. Izuku and Himiko were walking the street when they heard a siren go off nearby. They rushed to the scene, only to find 4 wounded officers and a badly beaten Hawks. "What happened?" questioned Izuku. "Some villains robbed this store," he said, gesturing to the building. "One has an anti-gravity quirk and the other a magnetism quirk," informed the rank 2 hero. The 2 youngsters began to go off. "Hey, be careful you two," said the worried hero. The 2 left with a nod. The 2 caught up to the villains only to be lifted into the air quickly and by surprise. Without a word, the other villains started to move the trash and dumpsters toward them, ready to crush the young heroes. Until slink echoed the large blade hitting the ground there stood on of Toga's ex-team members. However, there seemed to be 2 of the reptilian man. The distraction freed the heroes and the 2 copies of the reptile man charged the villains. Just then 4 more pairs of arms grabbed the magnetic villain, allowing him to be knocked out. The other villains then rose everything into the air, revealing Twice, one of Himiko's closest friends during her time as a villain. "You may have gotten my partner, but now I get the money and you all to myself," said the villain. "Messing with them is like playing with fire," came a familiar voice. Just then the villain was knocked into a nearby wall by flames. The same flames now holding the 2 villains hostage. "You're going to get burned." The flames shined a bright blue. The new vanguard. The duo stared in shock at the stitched man. "Dobby?" screamed Toga. How are why you alive?" asked Izuku. "Yes, Izuku, the man with the fire quirk gets burned to death for the 2nd time. Didn't work once, not gonna work the 2nd, replied Dobby. Izuku simply nodded a bit, seeing it makes sense. "However, Izuku, I have a favor to ask." Izuku looked up at the old friend. "I need you to make a deal." The story goes on. 10 years later. "I can't believe we're finally here," shouted a 15, I think that's how old she'd be, young horned girl. "Yep, UA High School. Where Deku went to school," replied a dark-haired young boy. The two walked into their class, Class 1A. "You two done yet?" questioned a peculiar yellow, man-sized caterpillar. "Yes, Uncle Aizawa," replied the girl. "Mr. Aizawa in school, Ms. Midoriya. Please introduce yourself." The others are already screaming at each other. Aizawa began to think, however. Different class, same attitude. Let's hope they're just as if not better than their predecessors, he thought with a smile. "I'm Eri Midoriya, daughter of Himiko and Izuku Midoriya, aka Deku and Vampire Queen," shouted young Eri. "I'm Kuda, sup, I'm not that excited, sorry Eri," said Kuda. The two did share one thought though. "We finally made it, Deku, we'll be next in line."
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.